Get ready for a showdown of epic proportion. Universal's new theme park, Universal Epic Universe, is coming for Disney's crown, and we're here to break it all down.
In a world where plumbers reside right next to classic horror monsters, where dragons take to the sky and you travel via Flu Network. Those are the things that describe this new world coming to Orlando.
I'm not very good at movie intros, but I'm trying to be. But that's not... Anyway. Universal Epic Universe will be the fourth theme park at Universal Orlando Resort and is scheduled to open in summer 2025. Today, we're going to talk about what we know about Epic Universe, some of the rumors and guesses, and whether Disney World is going to try to compete with this major addition to the Orlando theme park scene. To start, let's talk about what we do know about Epic Universe. Details have been left purposely vague, much to my chagrin, because I would like to know everything. What am I going to get to ride? What am I going to get to eat? Who's going to be there? Will Jack Black be there? I hope so. But we do know a bit about what we can expect. Epic Universe was announced in 2019, and at the time, Tom Williams, Chairman and Chief Executive Officer at Universal Parks and Resorts, said that Epic Universe would be the company's most immersive and innovative theme park. I'm excited. Initially, the park was set to open in 2023, but due to COVID-19 related construction delays, the date was pushed back to the currently expected 2025. If there hadn't been the construction delays, I would be going to Epic Universe in just a few months. But instead, it's in a few years. That's so long from now. The park will be located a few miles south of the existing Universal Orlando Resort within a 750-acre site south of Sand Lake Road and east of Universal Boulevard. You can actually see it from Universal. Right now, it's a bunch of cranes in the sky, but it's kind of far. They're creating a bunch of new roads and access points and stuff like that, as far as we know, to help get you to and from. There'll be busing, apparently, but it doesn't look like it's gonna be walkable. Now, Universal hasn't officially said a lot about the attractions coming to Epic Universe, but there have been a lot of rumors, like a lot. We'll get to those in a second, but first let's talk about what has 100% been confirmed. NBC Universal CEO Jeff Shell said some of the Illumination and DreamWorks content, but especially Nintendo, would be included at the park. This is no surprise. Universal has opened Super Nintendo World at both Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Japan to just a resounding amount of press and positive feedback. So it makes sense that Nintendo would probably be a fixture at Epic Universe. And sure enough, Super Nintendo World is currently the only 100% confirmed land for Epic Universe. They have announced that Super Nintendo World will be coming to Epic Universe as one of the main lands in the park. Now, Illumination and DreamWorks, what does that mean? Illumination properties include things like the Super Mario Bros. Movie, Despicable Me, Sing, The Secret Life of Pets, which did recently get a dark ride at Universal Studios Hollywood that is pretty popular. And Dr. Seuss's The Grinch was made by Illuminations too. DreamWorks properties include the upcoming Ruby Gillman Teenage Kraken, Trolls, Shrek, including the wildly popular Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. DreamWorks also has The Bad Guys, How to Train Your Dragon, Boss Baby, The Croods, Spirit, Kung Fu Panda, Madagascar, and more. So those are the kind of DreamWorks properties, if that gives you a sense of what kind of things Universal has said could come to Epic Universe. I'll also say that DreamWorks does own the Road to El Dorado, which I personally would lose my mind to see the Road to El Dorado represented at a theme park, but I don't think I should get my hopes up about that one. I think Shrek is more likely than the Road to El Dorado. Now, just a side note, I was pretty we're never getting a Shrek park in the United States. I had come to terms with that. I had determined that that was gonna be the case and that that was fine. That's where I had landed until I saw Puss in Boots and The Last Wish, which was a resounding success. It was nominated for the Academy Award for Best Animated Film. And it hinted at a Shrek 5, which has gotten a little bit of press lately. People have been talking about a Shrek 5. So I'm just saying, if Puss in Boots keeps doing well and Shrek comes back, we could get a theme park land. So you're telling me there's a chance, is my point. Only confirms land, Super Nintendo World. But because Super Nintendo World is already open at Universal Studios Japan and Universal Studios Hollywood, we do know a bit about what to expect from that land. The Hollywood land features the attractions Mario Kart Bowser's Challenge, interactive power-up band key challenges, the themed restaurant Toadstool Cafe, and the 1-Up Factory store. In Japan, there are more stores and restaurants and another attraction, the Omnimover Yoshi's Adventure. Any of these elements could be coming to Epic Universal. And we do know a little bit more about what might be coming, so we'll talk about that in a bit. There are also potentially new hotels coming near and in Epic Universe. In 2022, Orlando Business Journal reported that a real-time database of commercial real estate transactions called Real Capital Analytics showed that a project called Universal's Epic Universe Hotel 1, which is a 500-unit full-service hotel, would be completed by Q4 of 2023. Additionally, Universal filed a permit for a 750-room hotel that would be built along Universal Boulevard. Trademarks have been filed for hotel names as well, including the Universal Helios Grand Hotel, Universal Stella Nova Resort, and the Universal Terra Luna Resort. So it's theorized that the Helios Grand Hotel will be the very fancy one that in concept art looks like it could be that very big building pretty much inside the theme park or at least right next to it. And the Stella Nova and Terra Luna could be less grand sister resorts that would be located on Universal Boulevard. The other thing that we definitely know about Epic Universe is that it is a huge investment for the company, and it makes Universal even more of a major player in Orlando and in Florida as a whole. The park is going to be huge, and Universal has shared that it's expected to create an additional 14,000 jobs, including professional, technical, culinary, and other specialized positions. That's important. Keep track of the 14,000 jobs number. That will come up later. Now that may sum up what Universal has confirmed about Epic Universe, but we have been able to glean a bit more by observing construction on the new park, as well as looking at permits, patents, and things like that. Speaking of construction on the new park, we do have one of our reporters on site right now at Epic Universe, taking a look at what you can see of construction from public areas. Emma, over to you.
Thanks for throwing to me, Quincy. Welcome to the little bit that you can see here of Epic Universe. It's basically nothing from the ground. You can't see a lot, folks. I'm gonna be totally honest. There's some cranes back there. You know, you can see the road work. Universal is working really hard to make sure that there's like a lot of accessibility getting to Epic Universe. While I was driving, you know, you can see the beginnings, like the tops of like roller coasters. There's 2 double roller coasters that are going really high. Like you can see the peaks of them. You can see a lot of cranes, the road work that I mentioned. So you know that there's work happening. You know that stuff is going on, but can we really see a lot from the ground? No. I hope that was helpful. Back to you, Quincy.
Well, that is just dandy, Emma. Seems like you could see a lot out there. Or maybe not. So in addition to the little that we can see of the site from the road, we're also keeping an eye on aerial photos thanks to Orlando photographer at BioReconstruct on Twitter. After a May 2023 flight, they were able to share a number of updates confirming some details of the park. The photos point out a large fountain basin, potentially as a central area for the park. The in-park hotel, a Harry Potter related land, which is as of yet unconfirmed publicly, and a How to Train Your Dragon land. Yes, we're going to the Isle of Berk. Hopefully, we think. I'm absolutely just so thrilled about this. How to Train Your Dragon is an amazing film series. I love dragons, and I had a cat for much of my youth that reminded me exactly of Toothless. You cannot tell me they didn't base those dragons off of cats. In other photos from BioReconstruct, you can see a dual racing roller coaster that is under construction that seems massive. It's huge. And Super Nintendo World appears to include either Peach's Castle or Bowser's Fortress, Yoshi's Adventure, a Donkey Kong roller coaster, and a Mario Kart attraction that goes into that building. I will say the stories for the Mario Kart rides are different in Hollywood and Japan. They're like different races that you do. So I really do wonder which one we are going to get here, or if we're gonna get a totally new one. In Hollywood, it's Bowser's Challenge, and in Japan, it's Koopa's Challenge. So maybe we'll get a third one? I don't know. I think it'll be really cool if it's different Mario Kart attractions around the world. We also could just get one of those again. Maybe Bowser's Challenge. And yes, you can see that Yoshi's Adventure attraction is coming, so we are getting the Omni Mover and a ride that has not yet been debuted at Super Nintendo World with that Donkey Kong roller coaster. There have been patents for this that appear to show a ride system that would allow the actual like roller coaster car to jump on the track, like jumping over barrels in Donkey Kong. I don't know. That sounds amazing. I can't wait to find out more about this. Some previous photos shared by BioReconstruct have also shown what could be the entrance to the Dark Universal section of the park, which we will talk a lot more about. It looks like a portal of some kind. Now, it's not just construction photos that can tell us a little bit about what to expect. We can also take a look at the concept art. So a very close study of the one big concept art that they've released shows us some potential theming and attractions for the park. So originally when the concept art was released, it kind of looks like it shows 4 major lands around a central hub land. And that appears to be the case. So it looks like we're going to get a classic Universal Horror Monsters world, a new Wizarding World of Harry Potter, the confirmed Super Nintendo world, and then the How to Train Your Dragon world. Beyond those photos, construction permits and trademarks are a great way to find out more about what could come to Epic Universe. I do a lot of this. I love looking at permits and patents that are released by Disney and Universal to see what kind of tech they're working on, whether it's something that we know is coming or something they haven't announced yet, or something that they might not even ever bring to the theme parks. It's just really interesting to see what some of this technology is. Now, keep in mind that this kind of stuff could always change. And in fact, we've already seen some replacing trademarks for old trademarks. So it's like they had a name for a restaurant, they changed it, that kind of thing. But we have learned some really interesting stuff about some of the restaurants, stores, attractions, and lands coming to Epic Universe. So let's start first. Let's narrow down to the hub. This big central land, probably not called the hub. There's only going to be one entrance and exit to each land, as far as we can tell in concept art and construction. And all of those entrance and exits will come off of that main hub section that will connect directly to the big hotel. Things we have seen on some of these permits and trademarks are that it looks like there will be a restaurant called the Oak and Star Tavern, which appears to be under construction already. Seems that there would be another potential restaurant, maybe a table service. There's a flat round ride that you can see in the concept art, and a trademark name has been filed that could match up with this, called Constellation Carousel. We also may know the name for that giant dual racing roller coaster as Starfall Racers. So it seems like the hub has a little bit more of a galactic, astronomical sort of space vibe to it, which I think is really, really cool, honestly. I can't wait to see it. And it does seem like the kind of thing that could be timeless, which is what you want out of a theme park hub. Another thing I'll note is that the concept art does show fireworks, and there have been some signs that construction could point to fireworks pads being built around Epic Universe. So we might get fireworks, a new fireworks show, which could be really cool, especially because right now, Universal's main nighttime spectaculars pretty much stick to the projections on Hogwarts Castle at Universal Islands of Adventure and the water-based shows at Universal Studios. All right, let's move into our first land. The Universal Classic Monsters land could be called Dark Universe. They have filed a trademark for this, and I am so excited about this. This is like, we all want a villains themed land in Disney World. Maybe not all of us, but a lot of people have asked for more villains representation in Disney World. This is like an even more cool version of that, in my opinion. I love horror. Halloween Horror Nights is my favorite theme park event of all time. And having this like whole land dedicated to like Dracula and the Thing and Wolfman and the Mummy, like just very, very cool. Some of the things that may be coming to this are Curse of the Werewolf. This is a trademark that has been filed, and it's noted as either being an attraction or a live show. It does appear in construction photos that there is a roller coaster under construction. So Curse of the Werewolf could be the roller coaster. A trademark has been filed for a store called Oddities and Monstrosities. I'm gonna get so much Dracula merchandise. I went through a Twilight phase hardcore when I was in middle school. I'm running a D&D game that's about vampires. I like vampires, so I am excited to buy all the Dracula merch. There also appear to be permits for a drink stand and a small restaurant, although it's unclear what those will entail necessarily. Let's head across the way to the Wizarding World. Wizarding World is a little bit more under wraps, but it appears that what's being built is Wizarding Paris, as seen in the Fantastic Beast films. You can kind of tell this in the facades that you can already see in some of these photos from BioReconstruct. Permitted plans filed with Orange County do show a Ministry of Magic ride that has, in the sort of blueprints for this, potential Flu Network entry where fireplaces act as doors. So there would be some sort of effect, potentially, where you go from Wizarding Paris through the Flu Network, travel via fireplace, into the Ministry of Magic. And it seems like the queue area would all be inside the Ministry of Magic, and then the attraction would take place there as well. There also appears to be an indoor theater under construction in the Wizarding World, so it looks like we might get a bigger Wizarding World show than one that we've seen over at the current existing Universal parks, which is really, really awesome because I absolutely love every single show represented over at the current parks, so I'd be thrilled to have a new Wizarding World show. Over there, we've got Super Nintendo World, which we've already really talked about, but let's talk about How to Train Your Dragon. The trademark for this land that has been filed is How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk, which is of course the setting for How to Train Your Dragon. So it's possible that this land will just be called How to Train Your Dragon Isle of Berk. We have seen trademarks filed for the name Dragon Racers Rally as an attraction. It could potentially be the roller coaster that can be seen under construction in this land. It looks like there will be an attraction or a live show called the Untrainable Dragon. One of these littler rides that you can actually see in the concept art might be called Hiccup's Wing Gliders, is a trademark that's been filed. And there's another trademark for an attraction called Fire Drill. It's been theorized that this land might include a boat attraction of some kind, so it's possible that could be what that is. But a fire is a type of dragon, so that also might be the roller coaster. Dragon Racers Rally might be the boat ride. It's really unclear. It seems like there are going to be a lot of attractions in this land, which I'm absolutely thrilled about. I think that How to Train Your Dragon has so much to offer in the form of theme park attractions, and flying on the back of a dragon is like my whole life goal. So I think I'm gonna peak when this land opens. Some permits do note a candy shop. It appears that there will be a pretty big restaurant in this land that is potentially going to be Great Hall themed, like in the movies. A large indoor theater is under construction, so maybe a How to Train Your Dragon show. And there's also a potential play area that looks like it might be under construction as well, with some permitting and things like that. Now, I will note with all of this that this does seem to be a more family/adult geared park than it does a kid geared park, just like Universal Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. Disney kind of has on lock like the family thing that little kids can do a lot of stuff. I'm not sure that that's going to be the case in all of this park. I think it's going to be a lot like Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. My guess is that many of the attractions in Isle of Berk will be kid friendly. Super Nintendo World could be kid friendly. I don't really see Dark Universe being particularly kid-friendly because classic horror is obviously scary, and it's kind of a toss-up on the Wizarding World. There are also a few less verifiable rumors that have been circulating. One that I keep seeing a lot is that there will be a potential Frankenstein's Manor represented in Dark Universe, so that you could maybe go into a ride that's in Frankenstein's Manor. I don't know what that would look like, but a Frankenstein dark ride, sign me up. And on top of that, we do know that there's room to grow. There are dedicated expansion areas behind the Wizarding World area, the How to Train Your Dragon area, and the Dark Universe area. So if they want to make these lands bigger, they have the room to do that. There's also an area for another full potential land between Super Nintendo World and Dark Universe. I would like to nominate Shrekland.
If you leave now, you can beat the holiday traffic.
There's also another large expansion area to the side of the park and a small expansion area that comes right off of that big hub. So if they needed to expand off of the hub or even do like a micro land, they could do that. What are you most excited about at Epic Universe?
Honestly, I think Dark Universe.
Me too.
Like, I'm not a Horror Nights kind of person, but that idea intrigues me.
What are you, which monster do you want to see there?
Frankenstein.
You're a Frankenstein gal?
I think so.
I was just explaining that I'm a Dracula gal, so.
That makes sense.
If you need us, we'll be a Dark Universe when this opens. As you can tell, Epic Universe sounds pretty impressive, and with it being over 25 years since Disney World added a new park, how does Disney plan to compete? So first things first, Disney does not seem like they're headed toward a fifth gate at this time, but it's not impossible. We actually just discussed this in one of our shows. You can go watch our episode on Could Disney World add a fifth park to talk a little bit more about this. All signs in the sort of Disney community seem to say no, Disney's not thinking about adding a fifth park. And on top of that, there aren't a lot of confirmed projects either. Frankly, Disney has been really quiet on any upcoming confirmations besides the Epcot transformation. That doesn't mean that Disney's just gonna sit stagnant in the face of Epic Universe coming. In fact, we just recently started to get the first hints of what Disney is going to do to try to compete. Disney CEO Bob Iger recently said, "As we continue to invest in those businesses, which is essentially building out new capacity or new attractions, it gives us the ability to service more people. The more attractions you have, obviously, the more people have to do. We can also mine our intellectual property more effectively." He also said that they are currently planning now to invest over $17 billion in Walt Disney World over the next 10 years. So the intent to add new theme park attractions to Disney World is very, very, very much there. In investing that $17 billion in Walt Disney World, that would add an additional 13,000 jobs within the company and thousands of other indirect jobs as well. Now that's interesting because remember earlier we said the Epic Universe is adding 14,000? That's a pretty similar number of jobs that Epic Universe plans to add. And Epic Universe on its own is expected to cost just $1 billion. So $17 billion investment over 10 years with the $1 billion investment that's coming in the next 2, how does that really compare? Disney is planning to expand at a level that is equal to or greater than Epic Universe. Of course, Epic Universe will be complete in just 2 years, and Universal is also investing in Universal Studios and Universal's Islands of Adventure, with room to do more investing that could rival Disney's within the decade. That $17 billion over 10 years is a really big statement, and all we know confirmed from Universal is about the $1 billion Epic Universe. However, if you look at the construction in Universal Studios and Islands of Adventure, it's clear that's not the only investing they are doing in their parks, and we know nothing about the amount of money that Universal intends to invest past the opening of Epic Universe over the following 8 years. Regardless, Disney certainly is putting their money where their mouth is. They said they're gonna put $17 billion in the theme park. That, frankly, seems like it could be enough to compete with Epic Universe. Some of the potential plus-ups we could see at Disney have been teased as blue sky projects. Blue sky is a term that Disney uses that means it's things they could do, but not necessarily things that they will do. So they've shared some of these potential, maybe one day, what if sort of ideas with us. Some of those teased projects include a potential Zootopia or Moana themed land in place of Dinoland USA in Animal Kingdom. And they also mentioned the potential for adding Coco, Encanto, and a Villains themed land to Magic Kingdom in the area behind Big Thunder Mountain Railroad. So what we're talking about is, instead of Disney opening a 5th gate, is expanding the current theme parks, fixing them up and expanding them to the point that demand continues to grow. They continue to be new and exciting in a way that would compete with an entirely new theme park. Disney World is considered by a lot of people to be a more mature vacation destination. Adding a 5th park is the kind of thing you would do when you are growing. And at this point, they have the ability to expand on the current parks that they have and continue to optimize them, continue to make them competitive players, while still maintaining a competitive edge in the Orlando theme park market. That said, Disney doesn't necessarily need to open a whole new theme park to compete with Universal. Adding $17 billion worth of value to the current parks could keep them as the major theme park player in spite of Epic Universe. Of course, that all depends on what Universal decides to do with Epic Universe after its opening, and with Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios as well. Little side note here. Bob Iger did respond in a recent earnings call to conflict with the state of Florida, saying, "Does the state want us to invest more, employ more people, and pay more taxes or not?" This statement does not mean that Disney has any intention of backing off of that $17 billion investment. It is more likely just political posturing during this conflict that they are having with the state of Florida. But this statement does highlight the somewhat tricky position that Disney is in. To maintain its favorable position as a major player in the Florida market, it has to spend. But if Disney's conflict with the state government escalates or ends unfavorably, there could be a world where the Disney company has to make a difficult decision. All in all, though, if Disney's investment plans continue as expected, they are positioned to compete with Epic Universe and potentially maintain their status, depending on what Universal does. The next few years will certainly be incredibly interesting as we see Epic Universe shape up and learn more about the plans for Disney World. You can follow along with every single update at AllEars.net and by keeping an eye on our YouTube channel. We'll be sure to bring you all of the news about Disney World and Universal. If you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. If you need me, I'll be thinking about what it would be like to have a Shrek land, because I would like to go to far, far away. Now, go watch our perfect day at Universal Studios. I'll see you there.